Hello, welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We have another 3 stories for you today. You think 72 degrees is too hot and the AC is broken? Better get used to now. I know your limitation's better than you. And how on earth did they think their rule would work? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Alright, let's get started. Our first story. You think 72 degrees is too hot and the AC is broken? Better get used to now. I work on HVAC controls and building automation. I was called over to a lab building to look at something that somebody didn't know how it worked, so they naturally assumed it was a control problem. As I stood in the hallway and explained to the building manager what the real issue was, a professor stepped out of his office and asked if we were the maintenance guys. His lab is too hot. The building manager politely gestured for me to assist the professor since I am responsible for the HVAC. This is pretty annoying for me because I am supposed to work off of tickets assigned by my dispatcher rather than just doing random jobs for people that pull me aside. I didn't want to be rude, so I put a smile on my face and walked into this hot lab. He shows me the thermostat, which is displaying 72 degrees, the normal set point across campus. 72 is the hard limit we set in all offices and labs to conserve energy. A lot of people try to come up with reasons to get it lowered, like their doctor told them they need it lowered for health reasons, or they strain muscles easily, or other weird stuff that ultimately never works in the long run. I tell this guy I can't change the set point lower than 72 due to the standards set by the college. He then takes me to his other lab, which he says is working normally. He takes me to the adjacent lab next door, which is connected to this one through a set of double doors. This adjacent lab was cold, 65 degrees. He shows me the thermostat, it reads 65. I show him the set point is actually 72. I tell him that it's cold because there is a problem with the system, and I now need to fix it. He looks at me like he just realized his whole reality just got flipped upside down. I tell him if he needs the set point lower than 72, he needs to email the energy manager and request an exemption. The mechanics fixed the problem with a reheat coil, and both rooms are now maintaining 72 degrees. After lunch, I check my phone for any new work orders. There's one for that same room. I opened it up and the professor had written in the description of the problem, room needs to be 68 due to sensitive and expensive equipment. The previous technician did not fix the problem. I close the ticket and add the following note, please email the energy manager to request an exemption as I previously explained. Ticket complete. Our next story. I know your limitation's better than you. For context, I was in the military at the time, and this story comes from my time sailing. I was freshly enlisted and posted to my first ship for my first sail. I was ecstatic. It was exciting for me to finally get a chance to see the world. Unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions at the time, we weren't able to go out on the town and the ports we came into. This was before the vaccine. While sailing, I took 2 nasty blows to the head, the second one threw me to the ground, caused me to black out briefly, and I woke up seeing double. I went to the doctor on board the ship, where I found out that I had a concussion. The doc wrote me medical restrictions, can't lift, can't work out, no going on unstable platforms, that included the upper decks because you can fall off the ship, etc. Now for clarification, if you have a medical limitation, you can refuse to do certain work as going against it is a chargeable offense because you are under orders by the doc. My boss, let's call him Jim, did not like this. He's the type of guy that thinks I'm the boss and you have to listen to me and everything I say. He was not well liked. One day, he told me to go to the upper decks to help with a layout. No, my doctor says. I replied. It goes ballistic, he says, just do what I say and don't give me any back talk. I saw okay and I went up. It took me longer to get up there, shocker and concussion. When I get there, my buddy looks at me and panics. He knows that I should not be there and he's worried that I'm concussed and just wondering. He quickly tells me that I shouldn't be there, and I just say, Jim said too. He says that I should have said no, and I go, I tried. He grunts and walks me back inside. Later, I get called to his office and he berates me, telling me how I'm useless, the worst sailor in the fleet, and how dare you say no to a goddamn chief. He then asks, why can't you go to the upper decks? I tried to explain that my doctor had told me not to, but he cut me off and said, that's not written in, I know your limitations better than you. He then dismisses me and sits there all smug. I had enough of his BS, and I walked back to the dock and asked him to write word for word every upper deck I couldn't go to. I replied that he needed it written, to which the doc replied, "Do I need to write that someone needs to hold your hand in the bathroom too? I like him," to which I laughed and said, "No, that should be fine." When he handed me it, I photocopied it and put it on Jim's desk when he was on his break and didn't say a word. I didn't see him much after, and he refused to talk to me for a week and passed orders to us on sticky notes for the rest of the sale. And our last story. How on earth did they think their rule would work? A very quick story about the delivery of my flat-pack furniture from a large Swedish store, in the UK. The delivery service included taking the items to the floor in the home where they would be assembled. A small note, in the United States, the first floor is referred to as the ground floor. Our first floor is your second floor. I'm using UK terminology here. The delivery men arrived and asked me which floor I wanted my furniture delivery to go to. Me, this and this to the first floor and the rest to the second, top, floor. Them, oh no, we only deliver everything to a single floor. Okay, I said, deliver everything to the top, second, floor, it's easier for me to carry things down rather than up. Okay, we'll deliver them to the first and second floor. Me, yeah, I thought you would. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.